Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Recently, Shane Black came out with a statement, and for those of you who don't know, Shane Black is the guy that did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He did the newest Predators movie with Boyd Holbrook. He did Iron Man 3. He's also helped write the Lethal Weapon films. He's a big director in Hollywood, and he came out and said that he thinks Robert Downey Jr. playing Victor Von Doom in the MCU is going to revitalize superhero films. And on one hand, I don't necessarily agree with that because I don't really think there's a huge... It's not like they're so dead that they're not making money. They're still making money, but I'm still of the belief that there is no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. There is such a thing as mediocre fatigue, and there's such a thing as samey fatigue, where you just feel like you're watching the same thing over and over. Look at NCIS. Look at all those cop shows. Look at The Pit, another medical drama. People don't get sick of this stuff. You just need to reinvent it and make them feel fresh. And a lot of the Marvel movies that have been coming out lately have been really mediocre. Captain America Brave New World was very, very, very mediocre. I won't say it's a pile of ass cheeks, but it wasn't that great either. It was kind of mid-level, and Marvel's been doing a lot of that, and when you continuously put out stuff like that, it starts to wear people down to the point where people are like, oh, I'll catch it on streaming, and that's not good for business. Now, do I think that Avengers Doomsday is going to make money? Yes. Yes, I do, and if you don't think it will, I don't know what you're smoking, but send me some. I could use it. But no, I think that this movie's going to make over $1 billion, if nothing else, because of the same reason that Deadpool and Wolverine made $1 billion, and that's because where everything else fails, and people are sick and tired of seeing mediocre superhero movies, the thing that people still love to see is something that reminds them of the past. It's nostalgia. It's seeing Hugh Jackman come out of retirement of the Wolverine character and don the cowl and be him one more time. In this, we've been missing Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. They were the heart and soul of the MCU, and when they were gone, their absence was felt. They are missed. It doesn't feel like there's a connection anymore, a through line to all of these films, and they tried replacing them with all these other characters, the Eternals. They even had a joke that they would lead the Avengers eventually, and Shang-Chi, which I loved, but none of them felt like they could truly lead the Avengers, and they're really missed. And I think that everyone on the planet knows Chris Evans is going to come back as Captain America. Everyone knows Robert Downey Jr. is Victor Von Doom. Everyone knows Robert Downey Jr. is also probably going to come back as a version of Iron Man and battle himself as Victor Von Doom, and these are things that are going to get people to come to the movies. And on top of all that, you have the X-Men, the original X-Men from the Fox universe, James Marsden coming back as Cyclops, and he was punked hard in X-Men The Last Stand. He was killed off right in the beginning, and we never really got the Cyclops that we got from the comics or the cartoon, where he's truly the hero and he's a formidable badass. Like, Cyclops is a badass, and we never got to see James Marsden do that. And we got some leaked photos of patches that were made for each character, and we got to see that James Marsden's going to be donning the actual Cyclops blue and yellow costume. And I think that the Russo brothers are going to give us exactly what we want in that character, and I think that that's going to further lead into why Avengers Doomsday is going to make a ton of money, because it's also a send-off for the Fox characters. I also think that Secret Wars is going to make a ton of money, because I believe that in Secret Wars, every single character that's ever been part of the MCU that was in live action is going to be in it. I believe that Tobey Maguire is going to be in it. I believe that Andrew Garfield's going to be in it. I believe that Tom Holland's going to be in it as Spider-Man, all three of them. I believe that all of the Fox characters are going to come back. I believe that the bad Fox movie with Miles Teller, they'll probably be in it. We're going to see past villains come back from the dead. We're going to see all of the Avengers come back, Captain America, Thor. Everyone is going to be in Secret Wars, because it is a multiversal galactic battle on a planet where everyone's fighting for the fate of their own universe, and Disney owns Fox now. So every single character you've ever seen from Fox and Marvel is going to be under one movie, and that's going to bring people to the theater to see it for the nostalgia. Now, with Shane Black saying he thinks Robert Downey Jr. is going to revitalize the superhero genre, I don't believe that's true, because it's the nostalgia that's carrying it. Look at all of their movies. Look at Shang-Chi, which I thought was amazing. I also really liked Eternals. I thought that movie was amazing. Thunderbolts was amazing. I did not like Fantastic Four. I thought it was a dull superhero film, but I'm in the minority, and most people love that film. None of those made a ton of money and brought Marvel back to its heyday of billion-dollar films. I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is going to revitalize anything. I think that if anything, it's making things harder for future superhero movies, because now the only thing that gets the general movie, I'm like, listen, all all the die-hard Marvel fans and DC fans are going to show up to the movies to see these films. But Marvel and DC have kind of lost the everyday average movie-going audience person that isn't connected to the whole thing, and they're just like, all right, it's just the next superhero movie. We've seen 100 of them. Making movies like this, where it relies on nostalgia, once that's gone, it's just going to go back to these movies making like 300 million. And I think what they need to do is distance themselves from the multiverse, and they're going to be in a rut initially where the movies are going to decline financially because people aren't going to run out to see movies that aren't bringing back all these iconic characters. But I think eventually, if you keep putting out quality, you're going to slowly build back up again to being the wildly successful universe that the MCU once was. And it's the same thing with DC. I think that they need to teeter on this line of giving us things that feel incredibly fresh so that people don't feel like they're getting the same thing in every new DC film, but also stay away from the multiversal aspect where you're not having people begging for Christian Bale to come back as Batman. I think it's bad for business. I think Kevin Feige knows that this is bad for business, and it's all going to be wrapped up in Secret Wars. So no, I don't agree with Shane Black. I don't think that Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Victor Von Doom is going to revitalize anything. I think it's going to make it worse, but I think that in the near future, it's going to be a nice band-aid where it's going to boost Marvel's numbers because, of course, Secret Wars and Doomsday is going to make a lot of money. The only question is how they handle going forward. Obviously, the X-Men are going to be the main focus of the MCU going forward. That's what they're gearing up to do right when Secret Wars ends. And I don't mean the X-Men from the Fox universe. They're literally bringing in an entire new cast to play younger X-Men characters. So the question is, can the X-Men alone save the MCU? I think it can, because it's essentially just another version of the Avengers with characters that are a lot different, because the Avengers are overall loved by society, but the X-Men's core theme is they're hated. They are the minorities of the MCU, if you will, where everyone looks down upon them. They're looked down upon in society as like a plague that no one wants around. And I think on one hand, that hits a little close to home and makes it feel a little bit more grounded. But on the other hand, I think it feels fresh and unlike anything that the MCU has ever done before. So I do think that it's actually going to be the X-Men that revitalize the superhero genre along with James Gunn and his DC universe, and not Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom. But what do you guys think? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Do you think he's going to bring the MCU back to its heyday of making $1 billion even outside of Avengers films? Or do you agree with me where it's going to take a lot more than that and distancing themselves away from the multiverse saga? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time.